Hi, I'm Patti Parker, and you are listening to My Friends in Philanthropy. Our mission is to make nonprofit stories more accessible to the people who need their services, to the volunteers who give their time, and to the donors who make it all possible. Join us as we celebrate community impact through authentic, inspiring conversations. Hey everybody, it is Patti Parker with My Friends in Philanthropy. This episode is so important to me and so special to me, and you'll hear why when we start talking, but I want to introduce you to my friend, Cindy Parsons, and she's with the Wounded Warrior Project, and she does amazing work, but what I'm interested in is her story with her son. So, hey, Cindy.
Hi, Patti. I'm so excited to be with you today. Thank you so much for the invite.
It was a natural fit. You know what? Before we get started, super quick, I want to tell you, because people said, where did you come up with this idea? It was with my relationship with Wounded Warriors. So let me tell you. So for those of you who've listened to me for a while, you know that I lost my oldest daughter, Ashley, in 2017. And then I lost my oldest son, Jared, in 2021. And he was a soldier. He was an airman, whatever, warrior, whatever we are, right? And he came home with horrible PTSD. And we lost him. And so I took off a while because I needed to. And I could almost hear Jared's voice in my ear saying, Mom, what are you doing? Get up. You've got work to do. And by that, it's not my work as a certified financial planner. It's this. And so I go to one of my first conferences that I've gone to in 7 years. And after the first breakout session of this first conference, I introduced myself to this lovely young lady sitting next to me. It's like, hi, who are you? Who are you with? And she said, oh, I'm with Wounded Warriors. And I about died. And I couldn't say anything. And I had a picture that we'll pull up here and show you of me and Jared in his dress blues. And she said, oh, how exciting. Please tell him thank you for his service. And I said, I can't. We lost him a couple years ago. And she was so sweet and so kind. She said, Patti, please tell me that you were using our services. And she starts describing him. And I told her, I said, Teresa, I know who you are. I don't know what you do. And I'm going to change that. So here I had told everybody that I needed to do podcasts to build business and everything. I go back to them. I said, change of plan. This is what I'm going to do. And they said, no, we'll do that later. And I said, no, I don't care if I don't make any money on this. This is my heart. This is what I'm going to do. And I can't even tell you guys the reception that I've gotten from people like Wounded Warriors and Doctors Without Borders and Children International and Global Water. I'm saying everybody says yes. Everybody. And they're actually grateful to me to bring them on because my goal, so Jared had PTSD. And I mentioned, hey, what about Wounded Warriors? He said, Mom, I've got my limbs. What are they going to do? So I know that all of you who were servicemen and women, you're very brave people. But asking for help is hard. So he didn't ask for help. He didn't know what to do. So I thought through this broadcast, and I've mentioned this before, this is for people who need help, like my son Jared, like your son Shane, those who give help, like Wounded Warriors, and those who help the helpers, either donors or people who support them or whatever. So my goal is that you all who perhaps need help, I want to lower the threshold of anxiety. I want to lower the threshold of fear so that you will realize, whether it's Wounded Warriors or some other group, whether you'd realize, hey, wait a minute, these guys can help me, and I can pick up the phone. So that's what this is all about. So long introduction, but I think it's important, especially for wounded warriors, because they were the inspiration for everything I'm doing. And I appreciate you guys. And in fact, let me move this out of the way. This is what I'm holding.
It's beautiful.
This was my son's jacket, his dress
Beautiful.
blues, right?
Yes.
I keep it hung up in my closet. I have pictures all over. But yeah, who knows, right? Who knows where what this will come? But listen, guys, if one of you guys pick up the phone and call Wounded Warriors because of this, I'm blessed. So again, like I said, I want to introduce you to my good dear friend, new friend, but we've bonded quickly, Cindy Parsons. And Cindy, please tell me what happened to your family.
Well, Patti, first of all, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to tell our story. It happened in 2006. I'm a single parent raising my son, Shane, whose father died of brain cancer when he was 6 months. And when 9/11 happened, he was in high school at that time, and that changed everything for us. When we saw the devastation that happened that day, it really affected me, but I think it truly affected Shane because, he saw the first responders run towards the devastation. And he got very upset. And he said, Mom, I've been thinking about this. I'm going to join the service and follow in your dad's footsteps and Grandpa Parsons' footsteps, who both served in the Army. I was terrified because I'm a girl of the 70s. I remember Vietnam, Patti. I remember how difficult war was and the POW bracelets, and it was just devastating. So he
So,
left.
like, same situation. Jared, his senior year, took the ASVAB test, and Green Berets came after him. And he said, I'm going to do this. I said, no, you're not. I remember when Jared was born, I could no longer watch any war movie. I've never seen Saving Private Ryan. Let me say it again. Saving Private Ryan. I just don't watch him. I couldn't. I've got this little boy in my house. I don't want that to be him. So I kept saying, no, 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 no. So eventually, obviously, I gave in. Back to you.
Well, I'm right there with you. But when it came time to him saying, I'm going to join the service, I didn't think he would go through with it. I thought he would change his mind, being he was young and in high school. But by the time he graduated, he left for boot camp, and then,
Ah,
it was rough, Patti. As a mom, we were fully engulfed with Operation Iraqi Freedom at that time, and I told you before, I remember the TV showing how many wounded and how many killed every single day. And I couldn't watch it. It was horrific. At that time, I had just gotten a new position as a registered nurse. I went from my licensed practical nurse to a degree with RN. And I just remember pouring myself into work, because that's what we do, right? As moms, we have to just pour ourselves into work to keep our head straight. And then he got his call of duty, Patti. He said, they're sending me to Iraq. I
ah,
won't be home for Christmas. That was 2005.
I
But I didn't
remember those
mention.
days.
Yes, it's so scary. I forgot to mention, though, that he was actually sent to, he was with Bravo 367 4th ID, and was sent to Fort Hood, Texas for the remaining of his training after boot camp. And then he
Okay.
got the call of duty.
Okay.
And I just sunk when I heard those words. So he said, I'm not going to be home for Christmas, and that was 2005. It was tough. Only child, you pour everything into it, and then please forgive me if I get emotional, because it happens, as you know.
I
I don't
do.
have to
I
explain that
do.
to you. Sometimes the words are triggers.
Sure they
So
are.
it was just so difficult. But then he was with the unit attached to 101st Airborne, most volatile time of Iraqi war at that time. There were numerous injuries with the IEDs, the bombs. And then I got the call. The call no parent wants to hear.
No,
And that
no.
was in September of '06. I picked that phone up, and everything
So not
changed.
even a year, not even a year after you went.
Yeah, pretty close to. He, a matter of fact, Patty, he would have only had 6 weeks to go before he would be back home from his first tour. Yeah, so he was almost finished with that first tour.
Yeah. Jared went to Iraq as well,
Yeah,
but it's scary, right?
it's you can't fathom that your child is in war, and you don't understand. You think you understand, but you can't imagine what it's like. When he would call and I'd hear the bombs go off in the background, it's
Gosh,
like, oh
yes.
my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was
And
difficult.
and we've spent our lives since they were born protecting them.
Absolutely.
It's just
Absolutely. And I made a promise to his dad before he passed away because Shane was just a tiny baby. And I remember he was fighting. He wanted to live so badly, but this brain cancer was taking inch by inch of his life, day by day. And I remember as he could understand me, I promised him that I would be the best mom I could and do the best, and to help our son be happy and do something productive in his life.
yeah.
So, I tried to fulfill that promise although when Shane said he's going to war, uh, oh, it was devastating for me. Yeah.
I understand.
So at that point, when when I got the call, they told me he had been critically wounded, and I really thought it was a joke. I thought, who's calling? This is not funny. And they said, no, ma'am, it's no joke. And they said, stand by. And 3 phone calls later, I found out that he lost his left leg above the knee, and they had amputated the right leg to save his life. And I knew nothing would ever be the same after that, because being in the medical field, the ramifications of that type of injury is not good. But he was only 21, Patty. 21 years old. I tell people that how would I tell him that we would never dance in the kitchen again, where he'd swirl me around when he'd be so excited of something fun that happened in his life, or joke with me. And I never told this story to too many. When he was about 7 years old, he was a very slender little boy, very active, and he had made my mother mad. He was acting up, and she was babysitting. And in order to make her laugh, because he didn't like anybody mad at him, he got in her closet and got those big platform heels. Remember those big? And he had his skinny pajamas on, and he put those big platform shoes on, and he's walking across the living room doing the Pee Wee Herman. And my mom, as angry as she was, bursted out laughing. She said, oh my gosh, Shane, what are you doing? And she was no longer mad at him.
But how do you get mad at that, right?
I know. So, those are the things you think about at that moment. And I didn't know exactly what was going on. Like, how did this happen? And, I prepared myself. I left my career that day. I knew this wasn't going to be good. And as I got ready to fly to Landstuhl to be at his side, I found out that he had actually volunteered on a mission that day. Many of you warriors out there identify with this story. So please understand this could be a trigger for you, and please ask for help. If you can't take this story and it triggers you, please ask for someone to be with you. Don't let this initiate a PTSD moment. But what had happened is, it was his day off. Patty, did you know that warriors got days off in war? It's like, what do you mean his day off? Well, I didn't understand that. And they said, well, he was supposed to stay back and rest, and he jumped in to cover for another battle buddy who was having a rough time, because that's what we teach our kids, to help each other. We help each other in the time of need. And he jumped up and said, I got this mission, you stay back. And he drove the lead Humvee on a mission to look for caches of weapons. And on the way back, they were waiting, and they detonated what they call an EFP, which is an explosive form penetrator. Now, Patti, at that time, I did not understand what any of that meant. Um, you know, you hear these words and you see that, on TV when the bombs go, but you had no idea that this was meant to take a tank out. I
Wow.
put a coffee can size hole in the driver's side, came through, severed the left leg, then the right leg, and then the gunner actually was wounded as well.
Yeah.
And they couldn't get to him because they were attacked. So he actually bled out and his heart stopped. Um, so at that point, I always bring up Patti. You understand this well. If it wasn't for our military medical teams, the nurses, the doctors, the medics, Navy corpsmen, doctors, Shane would not be here. And I always give my biggest gratitude because they're so talented, and I'm so grateful for that.
And so devoted. I
Yes,
mean, yeah.
yes, extremely devoted, and the knowledge that they attain just for a basic, training that they cram into them quickly. Shane wouldn't be here. He wouldn't. And so when they finally got to him and did CPR, they got him to the Baghdad cache where he coded a second time. And they tried to save that right leg, but due to no blood flow, they had to amputate to save his life. And stabilize him the best they could. Now, many of you warriors out there understand what the story is leading to, because I like to tell people that the path of war leaves a lot of scars. And it wasn't that you can see them, it's the ones you can't see.
Right. Right.
Those are the most difficult ones. The ones you can't see. And I tell people that because it not only trickles to the warrior that goes through this horrific injury, but it follows through with the family, the caregivers, the families, the spouses, the children. Because it's just hard to understand and believe that this is happening. As I prepared myself to leave, because I knew I needed to be at his side at Landstuhl, Germany, and I got on that plane, and I remember, as a parent, things go through your mind. It's like, what am I going to find? Is he even going to be alive when I get there? I don't
Oh gosh.
know. Um,
Had
and
they told you during all this process that he had coded and he had done all that? Or did you
no,
have any idea? Yeah.
no, I
Okay.
did not. They just said that he was very unstable at this time, and they're doing the best they could, and they would keep me informed. So no, they're not. Unfortunately, because of the severity of the injury, I don't think they really knew at this point.
True. And I
Yeah.
think in their own way, they're trying to protect us,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
But
Absolutely.
former registered nurse, former
Yes.
registered nurse,
Yes.
um, we have pretty good imaginations with a lot of knowledge to back it up, right? Is that a
Especially
good way
when,
to put it?
oh, Patty, especially when you're an ER nurse, the things that
Yeah.
go through your
Yeah. Oh
mind.
my gosh, you're the worst.
Oh, it is. It's like that, like the big elephant on your back, or that, what is it, the monkey on your back. It gets bigger and bigger, and you think, your mind just starts to wonder. It's like, yeah, don't think that. You have to pull yourself back in, because that's what we do. We worry about our children. We worry about our loved ones.
Yeah.
And we don't want to think the worst, but I mean, in reality, we
We can't
kind of
help it.
do. It's like, it's the worst case
You
scenario.
were ER, which is the very worst. I was critical care upstairs, not much better. When you got
Not
them
at all.
done, but when you got them stabled, you shipped it up to
We
me,
ship.
right?
That's right. We ship them to you, Patty. Exactly.
Oh my gosh. Okay,
So
go ahead.
basically, I remember walking in that door in Landstuhl, and I've never been to Germany. Um, I had blinders on, and all I wanted to do was get to his bedside. And you and I understand, as a nurse, we're supposed to assess our patients from head to toe. And first thing I saw, I glanced at him, and I saw that blanket was flat, no legs, no legs, and I could not lift that blanket. I
No,
couldn't do it.
no.
And then as I'm scanning, I saw the the tube protruding from his brain because of the fact that he had 2 cardiac arrests. Parts of his brain literally died, so his brain was compromised, and they had to measure the pressure of the brain with that ventriculostomy, and otherwise they'd have to cut his skull, and it just was so difficult. It was really tough. But one thing I tell people, Patti, all right, you guys, warriors and female warriors, when your parents are pissed off, we yell at you. And I said, Shane, don't you die. And I screamed at the top of my lungs. And I said, this is Mom, and you fight, don't you die. And I tell everybody, I don't know why I said that. It just fell out of my mouth. But it's like, I got no reaction from him, but I knew he could hear me because, I knew he could hear me.
He goes, oh no, Mom's here.
And you know, Patti, as well as I do, when you have a parent that's a nurse or in the medical field, this was not Shane's first injury. Unfortunately, he had some issues before in war where he was shot at. Luckily, the Kevlar saved him. And an Iraqi car hit him while he was on night patrol, and he said, Mom, James Bond really doesn't work when you try to jump over a car. But the thing it is, every time he would come to, he'd say, don't tell my mom. Don't call her. I'm fine. Don't call my mom. Every single time he'd say that. It's like, why? I need to know. I said, no, you don't understand. She's a nurse. She's gonna go way over. So you get
Yeah,
that, don't you,
we do.
Patti? But the worst part about it was the uncertainty. They tell you, we know as nurses, they tell you, here's what the diagnosis is, here's the prognosis, here's what's treatment or rehab, or he won't do this or he will do this. And we know you take that all in, but you also say, you don't know my son. He's a fighter. He's tough. You don't know him. I had to grasp on to that hope. And even those words were coming in as the doc was telling me, all that he won't be able to do and what he can't do, and this is what's going to happen, and we don't know. It's like, okay, all right. I took it with a grain of salt because you don't know my son. He's a fighter. And when he finally came back to launch, or to Andrews Air Force Base, as a matter of fact, I got to fly on a jump seat on the medevac flight back home to
Oh
the
my God,
States.
good for you.
Well, being a mama bear, so I'm not
It,
leaving my
I
son's
mean,
side.
it's like they had a chance to say no.
Very true. Very true, Patti.
Oh my gosh, it's almost like I know you.
Yes, it's kind of ironic because our paths are like, yeah,
So similar.
identical. Yes,
So
identical.
similar. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And I think the bottom line to all this is there were so many people along the way, Patti, that were put in the path of war, and even coming back to the States, that gave us the support and gave the hope that I needed and what she needed. When we got to Walter Reed Army Medical Center, he had to go through 15 surgeries.
Oh my gosh.
So they did the debridement where they took more muscle, more bone, and more tissue, and he got shorter and shorter.
Aw.
But that's not the fight. The fight was going to be the invisible wound of a severe, anoxic, traumatic brain injury.
So
Cognitive deficit.
when did Wounded Warrior Project come in?
Well, when we were at Walter Reed, and he woke up because he didn't know who I was, and he was calling everybody grandma. But the brain swelling receded, and he started his rehabilitation.
Okay.
We had a lot of visitors come in that room, and 2 gentlemen that walked in was Wounded Warrior Project, and they went up to Shane and they said, we're here for you and your mom, and if there's anything you need, let us know. We had no idea who they were, never heard
Huh?
of them, and they gave me a backpack, comfort items, and I said, that's great, and I'm glad to hear that. And it kind of, there's so much going on, and I kind of forgot about it until he came to a second facility which is Minneapolis VA, for continued rehabilitation. And they sent Melissa Stockwell, who is an officer in the service who lost her leg all the way up from the hip down. And she was there sent by Wounded Warrior Project to show Shane, look at me, look what I can do, to give that hope. That's how it
Wow.
started. And I
Okay.
had no idea. And then from there on, San Antonio to Brooke Army Medical Center, where he continued rehabilitation, and they had staff there. One of them was a warrior who was missing his arm, Juan Arredondo. And he would see Shane working out every day and walk up to him and said, hey, I'm here for you. And he'd have the logo on. He says, do you need anything? How's your mom doing? You know, you're looking good. Let's keep doing, any kind of support. When we finally came home, Patti, that was the most difficult part because he had that support of warriors and doctors and therapists on a daily basis. But when we came home, that's when everything was terrifying
Yeah.
because
Because
then
you're going back to what was normal and now it's not
yeah,
normal.
it's
There's a
not
little
the same.
shock there, right?
Well, the hardest part for me is suicide was all around every facility, and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be back in this little town we live in, beautiful community that always supported us, but there's no other warriors like him here. His friends are married or off to doing in another state what they do, and I was scared to death.
Of course you were.
And the PTSD and the depression,
Yes.
um, all those invisible wounds. He wouldn't tell me really how he felt. I saw the night terrors. I saw flashbacks. And that's when Wounded Warrior Project came and literally came to our house and said, we're here for you, Shane and Mom. We have a new program called the Independence Program. And that's for those catastrophically wounded warriors that have to have a caregiver. Shane needed a caregiver because he couldn't drive, not able to read or write, can't do any kind of math calculations. Imagine going to a restaurant at the age of 21 and you pick up a menu and you can't read it. I mean, couldn't do any of what he used to. And that's when they provided that support. And they got him back out in the community with the goal to help him coach junior high and high school football in our community, to teach him that, you can do anything. You just do it in a different way. And that's how they helped him achieve those goals. That's where everything changed. That was the light in the darkness. When and I'm saying we, because it took me a
Well,
long
they were
time to
helping you
say,
too, right?
absolutely,
I mean,
absolutely,
it's not, they incorporate the family, is what I've been told. I have
yes,
no experience with them, unfortunately. Jared,
sorry,
yeah, Jared, I don't know why, but he did not go forward with contacting them. And, I let him take the lead. He was a little bit older. He was in his 30s. So Jared was in the intelligence wing for 11 years. So I don't know what he did, but I know that it haunted him. So he was older, so I gave him freedom to make choices, right? Because you don't expect your kid to die. It's like, and Jared was really brilliant. I mean, he had a genius IQ. He was varsity every sport. He was president of his class. I mean, he was that guy. I used to tease him. I said, "You're Ferris Bueller." Yes. Everybody loved him, right?
oh, yeah,
Um, so I always thought be okay. So I would be to do it over. I would be more interactive and more involved. Um, but I just trusted him and trusted his ability to make those decisions. And I think I should have done more. Moms who have lost kids, we've got this horrible what if, what if, what if. I wish, I should have, could have, would have. You guys know,
absolutely.
you're out there, you guys know. And I encourage, okay, so this is the Wounded Warrior Project. This is for people who are at least adjacent to being in the service, right? But like you said, it's not just for the warrior, it's for his mom, right? So if Jared had gotten involved, there would have been help for me as well.
Yes.
I live in a very strong place of denial still, and I'm sorry, I can't. This is where I am. This is how I function. I'll deal with it at some point in time in my life, maybe, or maybe I won't. So don't do as I do, do it, or don't do as I say, whatever it is, right? You do you. You do what you're supposed to do. I'm telling you all the bad things. Don't do me. Um, but we just try. We just try and try and try. So we're getting close to where we need to wrap up a little bit. So from your heart, Cindy, if you were talking to people like me and Jared, people like you and Shane, what encouragement would you give them?
Well, Patty, there is so much to that question that I could go on. But I think the bottom line to all of this is to know that you are not alone. One of the things that I realized I felt, and Shane somewhat, but he didn't vocalize it, is that you really feel like you're the only one going through this. You are not the only one. What Shane realized, and hindsight going forward with his life, because he told me at one point, I should have died out there, Mom. I shouldn't be here. And I told him no, because you're here for a reason. And later he came back and said, I'm here to show other warriors that you can do anything you put your mind, you just do it in a different way, and that we are all in this together. When I say that, Patty, the bottom line is when we as individuals help each other, I have seen some amazing things with warriors. When Shane would do some of the programs and services where he would connect with other warriors, and some of them were amputees and some were not. They had all their limbs. They didn't look like they were wounded, but it's invisible. He could feel it. And he would tell them, we get through this together. We will do this together. And same with the caregiver. Patty, I feel so connected to you. Our paths are a little different,
Not
but
much.
you are not alone. And warriors out there, I don't care where you've been, what you've done, whether stateside, overseas, and you are suffering, you are not alone. You are not alone. And just know our programs and services can help, can make those connections. There's connections for mental health, physical health and well-being, financial awareness and assistance to help them learn different techniques, and even for clothing, and maybe
And what's the charge for all this, Cindy?
it is actually free for those post 9/11 warriors that have a DD 214 that've been wounded, whether it's stateside or overseas. No charge at all. The best way to go about this is go to our resource center, woundedwarriorproject.org.
Okay.
Or there's a number you can do, resource center at woundedwarriorproject.org,
We're going to
and you'll
have
connect
we're
with
going
them.
to have the contact information
Excellent.
probably at the
Excellent.
bottom of the screen, guys. So hang on. So if you haven't seen it yet, we're going to have all of Cindy's not personal information, but so yeah. Thank you
And
for that.
Patty,
I
there's so much more to the story. I wish
I
I could
know.
have more
Oh, we're
time
going to
to.
have you on again.
There's so
No.
many avenues that everyone could understand. You may not think that you are not accepting to this, but you have to understand you might be able to help another warrior like Shane helped others. So remember that, or me as a caregiver to help you, Patty, to maneuver those feelings. So just remember that we're not alone.
Yeah. No. Thank you so much for saying that. You and I will spend some time together, Cindy.
I cannot wait.
Yeah, I want to take a moment again to thank Cindy for coming on and being open and vulnerable and telling about her situation. But I'm going to try and tell you guys something, okay?
Deep breath.
Yeah, right?
It helps. Deep breath.
So this is to you warriors. Or maybe you're not a warrior, but you understand these feelings and you're going through stuff as well. I want you to listen to me a minute. I thought Jared was going to be okay. He's my oldest son. I thought he was going to be okay. And, you guys went into the service because you're brave. You've been taught to be brave. I need you to do one more brave thing. I need you to pick up that phone. I need you to call him. Because you do not want your mother to be walking in my shoes. If you don't do it for you, do it for them. Do it for your wife or your kids or your friends, whomever. Pick up that phone. Be brave. I'm begging you to be brave. Don't let this opportunity pass you by. It's not going to cost you anything. You don't have to worry about that. And they will find someone in their organization that identifies with you. And they will help you. I'm telling you, don't make your mother be like me, okay? So you do it. Pinky promise over the airwaves. But please do it. Please, please, please.
Well, Patti, I hope they listen, and I hope you out there that is on this podcast, please listen to Patti, because it does make a difference. And sometimes you don't feel like you deserve it. You deserve it. You so deserve any
Those
kind
are
of help.
lies. Those are
Yeah.
lies
Oh,
running
no.
around in your head. They're absolutely lies. You are loved. You are valued. You're
Yes.
important. And you can make a difference in someone else's life.
Yes.
You can do it. But please make that step. Please, 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 I'm begging you. Make that step, okay? We've run out of time, my friend Cindy. We're going to do this again because
Wonderful.
there's too much to say.
Yes.
And if you notice, this is Cindy episode is a little different than what we've done before. But I'll have the people who work for Wounded Warriors on another episode. But we're going to do more of the people who need help, remember? So I'm hoping to connect with those who need help, those who give help, and those who help the helpers. If you are someone who have been through something and you think that other people need to hear your story, go ahead and contact us below. We'll do our best to get a hold of you. But we're all here for each other, right?
Yes.
Okay. I got to let you guys go because I'm supposed to have a limit. All right.
Thank you,
We'll talk.
Patti.
All right.
Thank you,
You're
everyone.
so welcome. So welcome. We'll see you next time, right? And we'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for listening to my friends in philanthropy. If you'd like to learn more about any of the organizations or services we've talked about, visit myfriendsinphilanthropy.com. You'll find all the links and all the details there or in the description below. If you or someone you know needs support, please don't hesitate to reach out. And if you're in a position to give, consider donating or volunteering. Your generosity truly makes a difference. I'm Patti Parker, and I can't wait to share more inspiring stories with you next time.